So we are now going to call Sharanya. Sharanya is my 4th year student and she's carrying Samani, our Ayurvedic super baby.
Jai everyone. I want to start by, of course, my name is Sharanya and I'm a 4th year student here. And I wanted to start by expressing my gratitude for this afternoon. I'm so inspired by Murli ji and I'm just grateful to be part of this whole community of Ayurveda. And it's been a great journey being an Ayurvedic student and then an Ayurvedic mom and having an Ayurvedic babies. So the teacher has already summed up what I have actually applied. So my sincere thank you to all my teachers who have given me the knowledge which I've been able to apply through the last 4 years. Honestly, with the application of knowledge really started when I was in my 1st year and through the self-healing program. And at the end of that year, I decided to go do a panchakarma because me and my husband were planning a pregnancy, planning for a child. And I wanted to invite a soul to this healthy environment. As you know, they mentioned about, it's almost like nurturing a seed and potting a plant and sprouting it. So you have to create that nurturing environment even within. And so panchakarma was the physical way of detoxifying. And detoxify is not the right word if you were a student of Ayurveda, but that's the best that I can think of at this point. And mentally, it's about preparing and having that right frame of mind to invite this soul to your family. And that happiness and that joy adds to everything else that's a part of being a mother and nurturing a soul for the whole 9 months. So once I conceived her, after that, following the dinacharya and ritucharya, dinacharya meaning a daily regime, which is very well formed in the Ayurvedic system, that you wake up in the morning, you do a certain ritual, which is usually praying to the sun. And it is a ritual in that sense, but in reality it is really about starting with the right frame of mind, just a positive note. And the sun symbolizes that the light outside is the light within. And you start your day with that, and then following the seasonal and daily routine side by side, which is literally, having the local vegetables which are available, seasonally correct, so none of your doshas goes out of balance, because you want to watch out for the entire 9 months what you're eating and what you're doing. So for that whole 9 months, I followed that process along with the monthly masanumas, tablets, and the medicine, the herb. It's the lifestyle is in its entirety, where you incorporate herbs, but it's more about your own mental health and own physical being. And you can't ignore that and just have something from the external source. The whole process of dinacharya and ritucharya really helped me keep my doshas in balance, which of course I found out, when you go into labor, it was really smooth. I actually slept through the whole process, which was really bizarre. And I would just wake up when the contraction would happen. And so she was born. And what's funny is that since this was an experiment for both of us, me and my husband, that we're going to do the whole thing the Ayurvedic way, which is traditionally known to be the right thing, but when you're in a part of a different culture, it's more like an experiment because you don't really know others who have done that. So when we were preparing for the children's clothes and everything, I'm short, my husband's tall, but I just assumed that she'll be a tiny baby. But when she was born, she was 8 pounds 11 ounces, and I was really shocked. Sorry, this is trash. So I wanted to talk about a couple more, actually a few things, which was more postpartum. that the 40, and even during the time, that following the routine actually helped in keeping the hormones in balance. So personally, I didn't really experience any mood swings. I mean, of course, this is more of my personal experience in the Ayurvedic context, but I just wanted to put it out there that, you know, doing the right, taking care of your health and taking the responsibility that, you know, I'm going to be a mother, I have to eat healthy and I have to eat the right thing. It's a very important thing, and I actually ended up quitting my job to take care of that, because for me, eating fresh food 3 times, or you know, however many meals I eat, which was usually 3 times a day, had to be fresh. And so I didn't experience any particular health issues during the pregnancy, except one UTI, and which was again Ayurvedically handled really well. After she was born, the first 40 days, I mean, for any child for that matter, it's extremely important that you take care of the first 40 days, because that's when your bath is really out of balance. And bath is what is required for delivering a child. And so you want to calm that down, and for the health, for the mother's health in future. And so to keep, you know, to do the massages every day and taking care, you know, resting and bonding with the child. So we didn't really socialize for the first 40 days and just stayed indoor and taking care of, you know, what I eat, because also whatever nourishment the child gets, it's through the mother's milk. So you have to take good care of what you eat and how you eat. So being, you know, like fresh food and the right kind of food, not something which is very gassy. So now she's 16 months old, and in her first, actually in the second month, I noticed a skin rash that she had. And so I came to the Vaidyas here, and we were trying to find the cause, because I did do right things. And they gave an external application of medicine, and then, you know, it subsided. And then 4th month, it flared up again. And then we realized that it was actually due to the vaccination, and which was interesting. And so I went back to the pediatrician and told him that I think she flares up when there is a vaccination, but I'm not sure. And then both the pediatrician and the dermatologist told me that there have been studies where the vaccines can actually lead to problems in skin, but it's not too many cases. It's just 1 in 10, I believe, 1 in 5. My numbering is probably not correct. But, and I said, so what do we do? So they said that, you know, we would do steroid topical applications and she would be fine. And somehow that, I'm not for the steroid application as such, especially on a child, because you know how children scratch themselves and they would end up eating some of it. And I said that, you know, she usually scratches herself at night before going to bed and she would eat it. And he said, even if she ate half a teaspoon of that steroid cream, nothing would happen. And I was like, okay, you know, I'm actually going to try an alternative approach if that's okay with you, and see how we can deal with it. So they had suggested bleach bath for her, and instead of that, I did neem bath, and you know, more of eating of healthy things. And haldi, you know, turmeric, it's one of the most important things in skin problems. And there were other herbs, of course, you know, and taking care in what I eat so nothing aggravates her bath and kapha, which were the primary reasons of her imbalance. And it went away in 1 year, which was really...
No, not 1 year, much more.
It was sooner, but you know, like the scratching itself went away in a year's time. And yeah, you know, she's my experiment, and it's fascinating to me how I can, whatever I learned, apply on her. The other thing, there are 2 things that I just wanted to throw out, is that it's a big myth that for the children to fall sick in the first 2 years of their life, and that their immunity is really strong for the rest of their life. And that to me doesn't sound right, because I feel like if your foundation is weak, the building can't stand. And so, you know, touch wood for that. You know, 16 months, she's had just 1 cold. And that's not because she's at home only. It's primarily because of healthy eating. You know, we watch what she eats, and she's not snacking the whole day long. It's just specific. She eats like us, 3 meals a day with 2 milks, and that's it. and there is no more is needed. The other thing is also that when I was reading online about colics, that it's okay for all the babies to have colic because it's a common thing, but it's really about what you eat. And she didn't experience any colic, which again I'm grateful for, but it was, me eating the right kind of food, and then when we introduced her to solids, which was in 6 months, her eating the right food. So,
and every time anything would happen to her, she would get scolded.
that's true, because anytime I've done, something wrong, like eating yogurt at night, for example, then something with, that's a direct correlation, especially since I'm still nursing her. And it's really wonderful that you're here today, and I don't know, some of you have children, some of you might be planning children. It's good to think about children way before they're born, at least 2 years of time, just to put that out there and in the right and walk in that direction, so you can nurture that seed so it becomes a healthy tree with wonderful fruits.
And she also does downward dog yoga.
Yeah.
She role models her mother throughout the day. Her mother does Gayatri Japa. We told her to do Gayatri Japa. So she has her own mala. Then her mother does Sandhya Vandanam, prayer to the sun. She has her own kalash. Then when her mother does yoga, she does yoga. So my point, don't take your child to a yoga class. Do it yourself. And like Abhijit was saying, you can't just sign them up for don't be sedentary. You don't be sedentary. And so we have photos of our little Samani doing a better downward dog than her mom. So her mom said, oh my God, she does better than me. Thank you, Samani, for being a star. Swati, you want to say something?
Yes, what she said, you start planning for a child much before. I had a bitter infertility battle for 5 years.
You want to come here, child? So people can look at you.
Every single science experiment that has been designed was conducted on my body, and I went through it. But my spirit never agreed with it. I did get pregnant. It was a bad pregnancy. I was told on the phone, you have to let go of it. I kept continuing. I'm Indian, I'm born in India. I didn't even know about Ayurveda. And then one day I just decided I'm going to quit this. All this circus, I just cannot do it. And then I just prayed, did a bit of my own detox and whatever I could do. I just prayed that, oh God, make this body invite a soul. And by fate of good luck, a friend who is a follower of Paramahansa Yogananda sent me homeopathic medicine. I was pregnant naturally in 1 month. But the point being, 5 years of suffering, and many years after delivering the child, of depression, of health issues. Now I still battle with health issues. If I could turn back time, I would put restraining order on every single person going through an infertility battle and trying science experiments. So I'm just very, very glad to be around Ayurveda and around Vedika. Every single problem I have, Shunyaji says my life all the time. And now she's at a point, she says, stop it, you old woman. I can't take care of you anymore, you take care of yourself. So thank you.
Yeah, people who have to work with me have to deal with some of my roughness. But they know I love them. So, go down. So I want to call Metri. I know you spoke some, but if you wanted to, do we want to call Shachi here?
I don't know if she's going to come because her partner in crime is here.
Okay, they're playing.
They're playing. That's hard to take her away from that. This is such a huge topic, and it's very dear to my heart. And so I could talk about it for hours, but I'm not, because I know Sanjay Ji is going to show you guys some recipes. So I'm going to just focus on something that wasn't covered today. Both Vidya's covered, some tips and the first speaker spoke about pregnancy. I had a Ayurvedic pregnancy with Sachi, and then our last speaker spoke about prevention, which I'm just gonna build onto that. One of the most beautiful things that I learned with Ayurveda and my kids, I have a boy, Siddharth, who's 9, and my daughter, Sachi, 6, who's here, is that internally, all of us do know what good health is and what sits well with us. And although we need to learn some of this knowledge, it's also pretty unbelievable what's innate in us. When I first came to here, I brought Siddharth to see Shunyaji because he was having a little more cough and congestion. And she said, well, for those of you who are students, cut out the dairy, cut out the cheese, cut out all the kapha-inducing things. And it was so interesting because for the past few months, Siddharth did not want to drink milk. He did not want cheese. He had already self-selected. He had already started down the path of correcting himself. And I think sometimes as a parent, you think that it's this perfect formula. You need this much milk, you need this much fruit, protein, whatever. But it's also the ability to listen to your child and to say, sometimes they know better than you do. And so look externally, do the knowledge that's here, to practice the knowledge that you have, but listen to them. And my daughter is a completely different constitution. Very, very different in the things that she likes to eat, in the things that irritate her versus him. And that has been really the beauty of having 2 children with 2 different constitutions, and the weak spots that were spoke about, 2 very different weak spots, things that irritate them differently. I'll go a little into detail, like my son has a very heavy kapha dosh. Not only is he in the kapha phase, but he is very kapha dosh intense. And so one of the things you will learn if you do take the 2-month course, for instance, if you take lentils, if you put them in a bowl of water, they absorb water. And kapha dosh has a lot of water in you. So someone who has excessive water in them, dals are very good. It naturally pulls the water out. My son can eat 2 or 3 bowls of dal. My daughter has a very high pitta dosh and vata dosh. Just 2 tablespoons is like torture for her. Like to put 2 bowls in front of her is not the right thing. 2 bowls in front of him is the right thing. And so I think the beauty that they themselves know that, and that it's this whole ecosystem of the knowledge that or you also as a parent to watch what you see in your children is really, really amazing, because I learn just as much from them. And to listen to what they say. Now, if they want to put the dal aside for a chocolate cake, that's a different story. But they do, in a way, kind of do heal themselves and will let you know. You just have to listen, And it's amazing that it's in us. It's even in yourself, where you feel like certain foods sit with you for a while and then may not sit with you. Is to honor that. Is to honor yourself. Honor what your children are saying. And I could go on forever, but I think that's one of the biggest things I learned too, was just to honor them and to teach them good habits that they themselves know how to make the choices themselves. So Siddharth will naturally, if he's given a sandwich with cheese, he just pulls it right off. I'm not there. He's 9. He does it himself. He goes to eat pizza. He's like, can I have my half of the pizza without cheese, please? It's now he realizes when I eat too much, it doesn't feel good. My daughter, who loves cheese, who also shouldn't eat too much, knows though when she eats too much, she gets really scratchy. So she has a desire for it, but she's learned to limit herself because she knows what the impact is. And so teaching them these good habits, because I think like the earlier speaker said, I hope they don't have to pick between alternative and Western. The gift that I can give them is to be healthy and for them to make those choices themselves. Because I grew up in an Indian proper home. My mother knew both my parents knew a lot of Ayurvedic remedies, and they just kind of gave it to us. Don't eat this with this, don't eat this with that. But they didn't tell us the why. And being here at Vedika has, even though I knew this stuff, the only way it's followed is if you can explain the why. The vocabulary. So now, when I'm not around, because my kids are older, now they're spending more time with their friends or at school, they can make those choices on themselves. So it's not just memorizing the rules, it's about understanding what are the right choices for yourself. They know, oh, I ate this, it didn't sit well with me. My stomach is hurting. Can you give me some ajwan? Or I have other like remedies, like even like the gripe water. They still will say can I, because they know they'll feel some relief. They themselves are now kind of self-administering,
And
it's
I've
the best
seen
thing.
these parents, they talk to their children from very young. Remember you ate that, so then that converted into what you could not digest. So when her children come to us for appointments, it's so fun because they're so invested in their health. They're like, Auntie, did you see my pulse? Did you see my tongue? And oh yeah, see this, see that. It's not like, the mother is talking, the father is talking, and the child is hiding behind. That's something.
It is really,
Good
and
job.
I'll end it with a really funny, what I think is a funny story. My daughter has a tendency for sweets and junk food. It's in her natural prakriti, and so Shunya had said the best you can do, she's going to be drawn towards those things, is to keep healthy sweets around you. So at least if she's going to make a bad choice, it's relatively a healthy bad choice. And so I have taught her to like make her own choices. So I remember one time she's like, can I have another piece of cake or whatever it was? And I was like, are you sure? It's like, you sure you're not going to get a stomach? No, Mom, I'm not going to get a stomach ache. I can eat, I can fit another piece in. And I gave it to her because I want her to learn to make her own choices. And a couple hours later, she comes back to me and she's crying. She's like, I got a stomach ache. She's like, Mommy, I'm so sorry. I didn't listen to you. And I was like, why are you saying sorry to me? My stomach feels fine. I stopped when I wanted to stop. Say sorry to your stomach. Like, I want the kids to understand your choices have a consequence that impact you. And you're doing this for you. You're not eating healthy for me. It doesn't do me any good if you eat healthy. So trying to kind of tie that in and teach them not only the rules, but to listen to their own body and make the right choices themselves, because I'm not going to be around all the time. So the best thing I can do is help them be intuitive about their own health. So.
Hey, Mom.